8:08 p.m. on a June Saturday found us at our neighborhood block party, and my wife paled as a silver minivan pulled up. I'd been tending the grill for 2 hours, cooking burgers while Tessa entertained the crowd with Flynn, whom she introduced as her gym acquaintance. Arriving 90 minutes prior, Flynn brought craft beer and a friendly demeanor, shaking hands as if he belonged. He even praised my grilling skills, played cornhole with the Hendersons' children, and casually touched Tessa's lower back 3 times when he thought I wasn't watching, but I was. Married for 16 years, Garrett, aged 42, and I built a comfortable life in suburban Denver, a 3-bedroom colonial, 2 cars, and a golden retriever named Biscuit. I worked in commercial HVAC sales, while Tessa managed a dental practice. Our community hosted these block parties every quarter, and we never missed one. Tessa always enjoyed them. The evening's spectacle was her display of affection for performing. The way she subtly adjusted her posture towards Flynn during conversation, the artificially heightened pitch of her laughter, and her choice to don her black sundress, a garment typically reserved for rare date nights, all happened while I grilled chicken, noticing only due to an unexpected minivan double-parked across the street with blinking hazard lights. This neighborhood isn't accustomed to such abrupt arrivals. Our communal gatherings are meticulously planned weeks in advance with allocated parking spaces and coordinated potluck menus. The woman who emerged from the vehicle was around Tessa's age, athletically built, with dark hair tied back. She wore jeans, a Colorado Rockies t-shirt, and carried a manila folder as if it were a weapon. Upon spotting the gathering, her eyes scanned the crowd before locking onto Flynn, prompting her to commence her approach. At the same instant, Tessa and I both perceived this woman. The color swiftly left Marcy's face, making me think she was about to pass out. Flynn, still chuckling over something Phil Henderson said, didn't notice the woman until she was just 10 feet away. "Flynn Garrett," she stated in a voice that cut through noise, causing conversations to cease in rippling circles. Flynn turned and his body stiffened. "Marcy," he replied, seemingly caught off guard. She held up her phone with her free hand, revealing that her location sharing was active. "You said you were playing basketball at the rec center, but your car's been parked on Sycamore Street for the past 90 minutes, she continued, a hint of anger in her voice. The party fell silent as 35 neighbors and dozens of kids watched. I put down my tongs and stepped closer, guided by an instinct that I should be there for what was to come next. "Can we discuss this at home?" Flynn's voice had lost its usual charm, sounding more like a man pleading for his life. "I've had enough at home." Marcy unfolded the file. "I've had enough of numerous things." She extracted a picture 8x10 color printed on ordinary paper and displayed it. From 15 feet away, I could discern the scene, Flynn and Tessa kissing in a parking lot. The shot appeared to have been taken from inside a car. "This is from 3 weeks ago," Marcy declared. "Outside the Marriott on Hampton, you claimed you were working late on the Henderson account." She discarded that image and showed another one with a different angle of the same parking lot. Flynn's hand on Tessa's hip, her fingers in his hair. Tessa emitted a sound, half gasp, half sob. For the first time since Marcy entered, she looked at me. I maintained an expressionless face and didn't move. Marcy threw away the second photo and retrieved a third, which depicted Flynn and Tessa entering a hotel room. The corner contained a time stamp reading April 17, 6:47 p.m. "I have 43 photos, Marcy stated. 11 distinct hotels over a span of 5 months. I enlisted a private investigator in February following the discovery of the charge for the supposed business trip on Valentine's Day. She hesitated before meeting my gaze directly for the first time. "You are Garrett," she said without questioning. "Indeed, your wife is involved with my husband. It's clear." Marcy scrutinized my face for a moment, perhaps anticipating anger or denial. Instead, I felt weary and curiously serene. "How long have you been aware of this?" she inquired. My suspicions had been brewing for approximately 6 weeks, but I was certain only tonight. Tessa finally voiced her concerns. "Garrett, could we go inside and—" "No," I replied softly, but the tone in my voice made her pause. "You introduced him to our gathering, presented him to our acquaintances. You forfeited your privacy now. Flynn appears to be in a state to mend fences. It seems evidently this is a misinterpretation. Marcy, I understand your agitation, but—" "Silence." Marcy did not raise her voice. "I have screenshots of 347 text messages. I have credit card statements revealing you paid for hotel rooms, meals, flowers, and jewelry that I never received. I have your GPS data, browsing history, and a recording of the conversation you had with her last Tuesday detailing your plans to abandon me and Garrett to start anew together." The revelation left Flynn stunned. His mouth opened and closed without sound. You covertly recorded us. Tessa's voice was hushed. I stole your phone data. Marcy regarded my wife with no compassion after I uncovered the first incriminating text. I paid a tech consultant $300. Your password was our wedding date, Flynn. You are not clever. 3 doors away in Coach Little League, Phil Henderson cleared his throat. Perhaps it would be better if we all retreated to give them privacy, I suggested. No, I responded, garnering everyone's attention. My wife chose to air our issues publicly when she brought him here, so let's keep it that way. Marcy nodded in approval before turning back to Flynn. I have initiated divorce proceedings with the papers to be served on Monday morning. I will claim the house, the 401k, and primary custody of the children. My lawyer asserts that your affair qualifies as marital misconduct in Colorado, impacting asset distribution. You can't simply, Flynn began. I have already taken action. Additionally, I have made copies of every financial record we possess, bank statements, investment accounts, even your cryptocurrency wallet password, which you assumed I was unaware of. Lastly, she displayed another item from the folder, a stacked document. Here is the email I sent to your superior this morning, containing selected screenshots of your use of company equipment for coordinating your affair and photos of you drinking during what you claimed were work lunches. All are time-stamped and well-documented. Your termination will be effective on Monday. The color had drained from Flynn's face. I ask that you consider the children, reflect upon it. Each night you came home late smelling of her perfume, I considered them every time you lied to my face. Do not dare use our children to manipulate me now. You have copies of everything if you desire them for your own divorce proceedings. I would appreciate that. I will send them tonight. She inquired about my address and I provided it. For whatever little consolation it brings, I am sorry that you are going through this. It appears we are both decent people. Marcy gave me a strained smile before leaving. She asked for my address, to which I obliged. For what it's worth, I apologize for the situation you find yourself in, and I believe you to be a good person as well. He took 3 steps before Tessa called out, "Wait," her voice breaking. "I'm sorry, so sorry, none of this was meant to happen. Things between Garrett and me had been tough. Flynn, stop." Marcy turned back around. "Don't you dare try to justify this to me. I don't care about your marital problems. I don't care what Flynn offered you. You're an adult who made choices, own them." She approached the minivan, got in and drove off. The confrontation lasted only a few minutes but felt like hours. The silence that followed was oppressive. Tessa looked at me with tears streaming down her face. "Garrett, I can explain," she said, but I kept walking past Tessa, past Flynn, who stood motionless like a statue, past our neighbors who all of a sudden found their shoes very interesting. I entered the house, locked the door, and dialed my brother's number. "Andy," I said when he answered, "I need a divorce lawyer, the best one you know." For the subsequent 72 hours, my life felt surreal as sleep eluded me. I wandered around our house like a spirit, cataloging everything while Tessa resided at her sister's dwelling. I captured images of our possessions, duplicated financial papers, and safeguarded digital files. Marcy's email came in at 11:47 p.m. on Saturday night, packed with data sufficient to sink an aircraft carrier. I spent the entirety of Sunday delving into it. The messages were more distressing than anticipated, as they had been conspiring for months. Not merely an affair, but a future plan. They had scouted apartments, and even discussed divulging their partnerships in unison. Tessa had dispatched photos to Flynn that I was unaware she'd captured, yet it was the financial records that revealed the actual truth. Flynn had expended $18,000 on his affair, which included hotel accommodations, dinners, weekend excursions to Breckenridge and Boulder, purchases of jewelry Tessa seldom wore, gym membership fees at the location where they supposedly met, and all these expenses were charged to shared credit cards. This meant Marcy was unwittingly supporting her husband's affair. I discovered another concerning detail in the documents that made me pause abruptly. Tessa had been transferring funds from our joint savings account, small amounts like $200 or $500 at a time, but the total amount was significant. Over the course of 5 months, an undisclosed separate account with $7,000 had been funded by Tessa. I phoned Marcy on Monday morning. She picked up after only 2 rings. "Garrett, have you received the files?" "Yes, thank you. I had a query about something discovered. Go ahead." It was found that Tessa was transferring money into this separate account. "Have you noticed anything similar concerning Flynn?" After a brief pause, Marcy responded, affirming that Flynn established a new checking account in March. He's been depositing cash, around $2,000 to $3,000 monthly. The question was where he procured the cash. This revelation caused my stomach to sink, as Flynn is a sales manager who receives commission checks. Marcy added that they were accumulating funds for an exit plan, intending to leave us. She confirmed this, her voice firm and steady. This new information could have legal implications, specifically dissipation of marital assets. You must inform your lawyer as well as mine. We continued discussing the details for another 20 minutes. It felt uncanny, strategizing with the partner's wife of my unfaithful spouse, but there was a sense of clarity about it. We were not emotional, we were tactical. We had both been betrayed, and we intended to ensure there were consequences. Marcy questioned before ending the call, "Can I ask you something?" I replied, "Sure." "Why were you so calm at the party?" Most people would have reacted explosively. I pondered. I spent 6 weeks suspecting my marriage was collapsing and feeling irrational. When you presented evidence confirming my suspicions, it was almost a relief. She acknowledged understanding. Marcy had spent 4 months investigating before she had sufficient evidence. Everyone had told her she was imagining things. Finding proof was the worst and best day of her life. "Exactly, we aim to destroy them," Marcy stated decisively. "Good," I replied, promising to keep in touch. My lawyer, Patricia Reeves, was an excellent choice made by Andy. She was 56, resembled someone's favorite aunt, and possessed the strategic mind of a chess grandmaster. During our first meeting, she commented that this was an exceptional case. She displayed evidence across her conference table like a general planning for battle. The evidence showed marital misconduct, dissipation of assets, and documentation most clients could only dream of. Colorado is an equitable distribution state, not a community property state. Thus, the court divides assets fairly, not necessarily equally. This evidence supports a division heavily in our favor. She inquired about the timeline, which depends on whether my wife contests. "If she fights, we could be in court for a year. If she surrenders, I will do well," Patricia observed, expressing concern about my well-being. Most clients in my situation are falling apart by this point. I admitted being angry but functional. She found it unusual yet not surprising. She suggested discussing strategy. First, we would freeze all joint accounts immediately. Second, I would file a motion for temporary orders regarding the house, stipulating that I stay and she leaves. Third, we would subpoena her separate account records to reveal a pattern of financial deception. Fourth, my phone buzzed with a text from Tessa, requesting to talk. Claire, her sister who had given me hostile looks at family gatherings for the past year, was mentioned in the text. I informed Patricia, "That's my wife." She warned against any communication outside attorneys and advised me not to respond to Tessa's texts. The following day, Tessa was served divorce papers at her dental practice, and she called me multiple times, which I did not answer. When she arrived at the house that evening, I had already changed the locks as per Patricia's advice. She stood on the porch crying and begging for an explanation, but I felt nothing, a numbness that scared me more than my anger had. The discovery phase of the divorce was grueling. Patricia subpoenaed everything, including bank records, phone records, credit card statements, employment history. Tessa eventually hired an attorney, Brendan Miller, who regretted taking the case. Every piece of evidence Marcy provided was admissible. Every text message, every photo, every GPS location, but we found more. Tessa had used our joint credit card for affair expenses, categorizing them as work lunches or client entertainment in our shared budgeting app, booking hotel rooms and labeling them as conferences, and purchasing lingerie I'd never seen, claiming it was self-care purchases. The pattern was extensive, prompting Patricia to hire a forensic accountant, whose report was devastating. Tessa had spent nearly $12,000 of marital funds on Flynn. She lied about her whereabouts, activities, and expenditures, making this case financial fraud, which in Colorado justifies an unequal division of assets. Meanwhile, Flynn's life was crumbling. His email to the company resulted in immediate termination for using company time and resources for the affair, breaching multiple employment policies. He lost his income, reputation, and any leverage in his own divorce. Tessa attempted to blame Flynn, claiming she had been manipulated and vulnerable, but Patricia refuted this narrative swiftly in mediation. Patricia contests Montgomery's allegation of manipulation, presenting instead a series of text messages as evidence. On April 22nd, the texts show that Montgomery initiated contact with Mr. Garrett after 2 weeks of silence from him, stating, "I can't stop thinking about you. When can we get away again?" On May 5th, Montgomery sent explicit photos to Mr. Garrett and proposed booking a hotel room for his birthday. Initially, he declined due to guilt over his wife, but Montgomery persuaded him by saying, We deserve to be happy, they'll understand eventually. The revelation left Brendan Miller looking shocked, while Tessa cried softly, though her tears no longer affected me after weeks. Patricia further stated that Montgomery was not a victim, but an active and eager participant who spent months planning a future with Mr. Garrett. She concealed marital assets, lied to her spouse, showed no remorse until faced with repercussions. I have evidence of these actions and will present it in court if a settlement is not reached today. The settlement was negotiated after 3 hours, granting me the house, 70% of our joint savings, a superior vehicle, the 401k, and the pet dog. Tessa obtained her personal belongings, 30% of savings, and her own retirement account. She was obliged to compensate me $2,300, reimbursement for half of the costs related to the affair. Due to Colorado's dissipation of assets doctrine, I didn't receive everything I lost, but it was something. Brendan convinced Tessa to sign the settlement. I believe he knew she would fare poorly in court. 6 months after our divorce finalized following the block party, I met Marcy for coffee. She had undergone a change and appeared lighter somehow. She'd cut her hair short and was wearing a business suit that suggested recent professional success. "How did your settlement turn out?" I asked. Better than expected, Flynn attempted to hide assets, which only angered the judge further. I obtained the house, custody of the children, child support, and 65% of all remaining assets. He lives in a studio apartment and works at his cousin's car dealership. "Good, how about you?" I told her about my settlement. She nodded approvingly. "You did well," she remarked, recommending Patricia Reeves to me. Marcy smiled. "Yes, I did. After my divorce finalized, I called her and recommended someone in need of help. She said she'd give that person priority." "Thank you for that," I said gratefully, "for everything we helped each other." We spoke about various topics: her children, my job, the odd experience of becoming social pariahs within our neighborhood following the public revelation of Tessa's infidelity. Tessa had moved to a different part of town, Flynn had left Colorado entirely, and the block parties continued, though we were both treated with sympathy and fascination as if survivors of a natural disaster. "Do you ever regret how public it all became?" I asked. Marcy shook her head, not even slightly. "They humiliated us. They deserve to be humiliated in return," she explained, adding that the public exposure made everything easier since our friends and family saw exactly what happened. No one could distort the truth or make excuses. I felt the same way, I admitted. Although it was mortifying at the time, it did have the advantage of ensuring people knew I wasn't the villain. A year after the block party, I received a message from an unknown number. "This is Flynn. I know you don't want to hear from me, but I need to say something. I'm sorry for everything. I destroyed my marriage, your marriage, and caused harm to 2 people who didn't deserve it. I don't expect forgiveness, but I wanted you to know that I take full responsibility and live with the consequences every day. I hope you're doing well. You were always a good man, and I wish I'd been one too." I stared at the message for some time before deleting it without responding. Some apologies arrive too late, and bridges once burned aren't worth rebuilding. Flynn will have to live with his guilt while I focus on my recovery. Those paths are separate, and I have no intention of letting them cross again. As I continued grilling burgers in my backyard with Biscuit at my feet and no one else to perform for except myself, I felt a sense of peace that hadn't been present for years. Welcome to the Cheating Saga Lab. This is my story, and I am finally free.